A German company was worth more than Deutsche Bank, the country's proudest tech success, on every respectable investor's must-own list. And $1.9 billion of its money did not exist. Not stolen, not lost, never there in the first place. So how do you hide a hole that big, for years, from auditors, regulators, and an entire stock market? And here's the harder question. When it finally collapsed, why did the man at the center vanish into Moscow and turn up working for Russian spies? Stay with me, because this one isn't just a fraud. It's a spy thriller that happens to have a balance sheet. It starts with a company called Wirecard. If that sounds boring, good. That's the disguise. Wirecard processed digital payments. Every time someone tapped a card online, companies like this quietly took a cut. Unsexy, invisible, enormously profitable. Exactly the kind of business nobody wants to look at too closely. And Wirecard was a German fairy tale. Founded near Munich, it grew so fast it knocked a 150-year-old bank out of the country's top stock index. Politicians praised it. The financial regulator defended it. By 2018, it was worth around 24 billion euros. Germany finally had its answer to Silicon Valley. There was just one problem. A few people kept asking the same annoying question. Where is the money? See, most of Wirecard's supposed profits came from a mysterious part of the business. Partners in Asia, handling payments in places the company itself didn't operate directly. Billions in cash from this third-party business was said to be sitting safely in trustee accounts in the Philippines. So journalists at the Financial Times asked the obvious thing. We see it. Can anyone confirm those billions are actually there? And every time they pushed, something strange happened. The questioners became the hunted. Wirecard didn't just deny it. Short sellers who bet against the stock found themselves under surveillance. Journalists reported being followed, their communications targeted. When the FT published evidence of accounting irregularities, regulators did something almost unheard of. They banned betting against Wirecard, opened an investigation into the journalists, not the company, the journalists. Think about how confident you have to be to pull that off, to get the government to attack the people telling the truth. Who had that kind of nerve? That brings us to him, Jan Marsalek. Born in Vienna in 1980, Wirecard's chief operating officer. The charming, jet-setting deal guy who ran the international operations, including that mysterious Asian business. Colleagues described someone who told wild stories about secret missions and powerful contacts. Most people assumed he was exaggerating. Hold that assumption too, because it turns out he wasn't exaggerating nearly enough. For years, the spell held. Wirecard kept reporting glittering profits, the stock kept climbing, and the awkward question, where's the money, kept getting waved away. Until 2020, when the company hired an outside auditor to finally, independently, confirm those Philippine accounts, and the auditor couldn't. The banks supposedly holding the $1.9 billion were asked to verify it. Their answer landed like a bomb. The documents were fake. The accounts didn't exist. The money had never been there. Sit with that number for a second. Not a rounding error. Not a bad quarter. Nearly 2 billion euros, roughly a quarter of the company's balance sheet, was pure fiction. A German blue chip on every pension fund's books was partly made of air. The stock didn't fall. It detonated, losing almost all its value in days. Wirecard filed for insolvency, owing creditors close to $4 billion. The fairy tale was a crime scene. So the police moved on the executives. The CEO, Markus Braun, was arrested. Manhunt turned to the one man who understood the Asian business better than anyone. But Jan Marsalek was already gone. Here's where the fraud story cracks open into something stranger. In the chaos of the collapse, Marsalek didn't lawyer up. He didn't hide in a German safe house. He boarded a private flight and slipped east, and then simply disappeared off the map. The question every investigator was now asking, who helps a fraud suspect vanish that cleanly, that fast? The answer came slowly, and it was bigger than anyone guessed. Because Marsalek wasn't just a corporate executive who happened to be a crook. According to British authorities, he was a Russian spy, directing espionage operations across Europe. But that again. The man at the heart of Germany's biggest financial fraud was, at the same time, allegedly running intelligence work for Moscow. And it gets more cinematic. When British police arrested a Bulgarian man in England in 2023, they recovered tens of thousands of messages between him and Marsalek. The messages described a cell of operatives surveilling targets across Europe, people Russia wanted watched. In court, prosecutors said this group reported to Marsalek as their link to Russian intelligence. The chats reportedly referenced Russia's military intelligence, the GRU, and even joked about Novichok, the nerve agent used to poison a former Russian spy in England. A jury convicted them of spying for Russia. Jail terms came down in 2025. So where is Marsalek now? Investigative journalists traced a phone they believe is his, hidden behind a false identity, a man named Alexander Nelidov. The signals clustered in Moscow, and the single place that phone pinged most often? The area around the headquarters of the FSB, Russia's security service, on Lubyanka Square. Hundreds of times in just a few months, the wunderkind who ran a German tech champion now appears to live in Moscow under a fake name in the orbit of Russian intelligence. The same reporting alleges he may even have spent time near the front in Ukraine. Now step back, because here's what makes this haunting. We still don't fully know which came first. Was Wirecard a real company that a spy used as cover? Or was the espionage the real purpose and the fraud just the machine that funded it? Even now, the imprisoned former CEO insists Marsalek ran a criminal network that deceived him, that he, Braun, was a scapegoat. And from Moscow, Marsalek once sent the court a letter insisting the Asian business was real. Real. The $1.9 billion that the bank said never existed. That's the genius and the horror of it. The fraud and the spying weren't two separate stories. They were the same trick. A respectable balance sheet is the perfect place to hide because everyone's trained to trust the numbers. Nobody checks the floor under a blue-chip stock. Why would they? The auditors signed off. The regulator vouched. The whole country was proud. And under all of it, the awards, the headlines, the 24 billion euro valuation, sat an empty room where 2 billion euros were supposed to be. The money was a story. Germany believed it. Pension funds bought it. A regulator defended it. And the man who told it best didn't run because he was a thief. He ran because he had somewhere far more interesting to go. The numbers never lie. People do.